Okay? Oh, you can hear me? Fine. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. I would like to thank first Terry Aranga, who invited me to this wonderful conference. I'm impressed of all these speakers here and the mood. It has been 38 years, the last time I was in Chicago. So, a very nice experience coming again. I am blessed to work together with some geniuses like Professor Ruggiero, and I feel very honored as well to carry on the legacy of Dr. Bradstreet's work together with him. Well, you had a rough Italian slang, and now you have an even rougher German one, but I think you will make it. Let me tell you first what we are doing. We are not producing only remedies or supplements. We are creating concepts, and we are teaching and educating doctors and therapists what they didn't learn in university. And this is quite a lot. So we offer them our Rerum Protocol for cancer and chronic disease, as well as our Rerum Protocol, our Rerum Blue Protocol for autism. This is a few parts in our education we do. But if you see the Rerum Protocol for ASD, it's not just a single treatment. It's a synergistic concept of several pillars, and the nutritional part is underlaying all these pillars. They face, with a ketogenic diet, the inflammation in the gut, the immune therapy, the detox, and the sleeping patterns, only with the nutritional approach. So, but first, we need some more knowledge about the causes of autism. ASD may derive from pre, peri, postnatal insults of the brain, but also to a special physiological condition, postnatal disposition, which leads to a highly vulnerable newborn gut and brain, especially in the first years. To understand this underlying process, we have to focus that the trophoblast embryo, which invades the uterus, is the perfect parasite. And thus, we have to ponder about its implications to the neonatal immune system. Parasitos is a Greek word. It means sit next to somebody. And it meant the priests were allowed to sit next to the gods, sacrifice, and eat with them. So originally, the term did not have a bad connotation like it has today. This picture, drawn by a friend of mine, a Greek friend of mine, Charis Tsevis, shows a revolutionary change in the paradigm of our conception of the bad microbes. We start to realize that a huge part of us is microbes. So let's focus on the fetus as a perfect parasite. Late 19th century, John Beard showed similar mechanism in signaling and behavior in human trophoblast development while invading the uterus, and as well as cancer cells do. This man wrote in 1911 a book, The Enzyme Treatment of Cancer. And despite the controversy, his enzyme thesis created in 1906, he was nominated for the Nobel Prize for his work in embryology. Though in his lifetime the scientific community never embraced his ideas about cancer and the trophoblast, he died in relative obscurity in 1924. In recent years, evidence from molecular biology and stem cell research increasingly confirms many of Dr. Beard's fundamental percepts. The molecular circuits shared by placental and cancer cells and their implications in the proliferate invasive migratory capacities of the trophoblasts. Similar mechanisms of migration and invasion displayed by trophoblastic and malignant cells. So nowadays, it is considered as a novel discovery, but it isn't. Novel aspects of the cell biology of embryo implantation. Why it is so important for autism? Let's have a look at some other parasites. The protozoan parasite Neospora caninum is an important cause of reproductive disease in cattle worldwide. Transplacental transmission of N. caninum is a very efficient means of the parasite infecting a new host. And the parasite has means to suppress the host's immune system, especially the Th1 response. And this is the same signaling the trophoblast does entering the uterus. This is a pro-oxidative inflammatory phase of the implantation of the embryo by means of the trophoblast. It's the moment when the immune system of the mother is suppressed by the human parasite, the trophoblast creating a germ layer, and who uses the same means to suppress the mother's immune system like the Neospora caninum. And this happens especially with a counteracting pro-inflammatory Th1 type of immune response of the mother, which, if attacking the parasite, could not only harm caninum, but also could harm the fetus parasite. This means this is a crucial process to downsize the mother's immune response, especially the Th1 for fast infections, in order to invade the uterus. Pregnancy poses an interesting problem for the immune system of the dam, as she is essentially carrying a semi-allogenic tissue graft, the fetus. To felicitate the pregnancy, the cytokine environment in the placenta favors the regulatory Th2 type cytokine, whose role is to counteract the pro-inflammatory Th1 type immune response. Protective immunity to N. caninum involves the Th1 type immune responses. So what has it to do with autism? Fetus and mother, parasitism as a symbiosis. In addition, there is a deal between mother and parasite. And the deal is symbiosis to create progeny. During pregnancy, there is an enormous transfer of noxious substances, like pesticides or heavy metals, via the placenta from the mother to the fetus. Why? Because the fetus detoxes the mother. He drafts toxins 10 times faster from the mother's blood than the mother is able to do from her own tissue. Mothers who suffered on allergies report about an improvement of the symptoms during and after pregnancy. So the result is babies are naturally born with a Th2 dominant immune system. The Th1 immune system has to be developed in a complex process during birth, going through the vaginal channel, with breastfeeding and first environmental contact, especially during the first 3 years. Thus, a neonatal therapy has to focus on a 2 to Th1 switch in immune competence, like you see on the left side. This is what, for example, Bravo yogurt does. Dr. Ruggiero and his colleagues discovered a very complicated process which occurs during and after birth, with the colostrum and the mother's breast milk containing important proteins and glycosaminoglycans. A fermentation process starts while at the same time interacting with fungi, yeast, bacteria, parasites, forming a Th1 switch to build up a proper immune system means a proper immune balance. And this is done by a particular group of approximately 40 bacteria which play a crucial and critical role in this process to create the microbiome. So this is not enough. The baby's metabolism downsizes the response to these bacteria. IREC4 is a protein kinase that is pivotal in mediating signals for innate immune response. It downsizes its response to match bacterial colonization. So IRAC1 to 4, these enzymes are down-regulating the defense system of the mucosa of the newborn in order not to prevent bacterial colonization. We need 7 pounds dirt a year, said my mother 50 years ago. So the bacterial colonization and the gut flora can develop in order to build up our immune system, forcing a Th1 switch and thus balancing it. Though this we have to keep in mind, this special, vulnerable newborn, which is due to the invading process of the trophoblast in a Th2 stage dominance. Now let's look at some markers of autistic children. Carnitine, key role in fatty acid metabolism, is decreased. Glutamine, glutamic acid, gamma-aminobutyric acid, decreased. Cortisol, stress hormones, decreased. Melatonin, decreased. Important for circadian rhythm and sleep. Serotonin, increased. A reaction of stress. Testosterone, increase. Cysteine and methionine, decreased. Glutathione, decreased. Oxidized glutathione, increased. So recycling is not working. Metallothioneine, decreased. A lot of important parameters in human metabolism are disturbed in autistic children. But now let's look at an analysis of gut microbial regulation of host gene expression along the length of the gut and regulation of gut microbial ecology through a germ-free mouse. On the one side, we have a germ-free mouse. On the other side, we have a normal mouse. And you see here on the left side a functioning gut, and on the right side a germ-free gut. And you see all these. How does it work? No? It doesn't work. You see all these metabolic arrangements done by bacteria. That means the regulation of the immune system, the regulation of metabolism of lipid synthesis, cholesterol biosynthesis, as well as detox, glutathione metabolism, glutathione transfer activity. In other words, almost everything, even aromatase. So you can figure out that even the estradiol-dominant breast cancers have their roots in the gut. We've heard that quite a few times. Gut functioning ecosystem means high diversity, means healthy ecobalance, means functioning colonizing resistancy against bad bugs, means optimum immune response. Yanomami Indians have the highest bacterial diversity found. yet. And a headline of an American newspaper asked, Amazon tribe's gut bacteria reveals toll of Western lifestyle. Now let's look to the Western lifestyle. Disturbed ecosystem, low diversity, unhealthy ecobalance, low colonial resistance against bad bugs. The American gut has 40% in average less diversity than a normal gut should have. And autistic children have even 300 strains of bacteria less than a normal sick gut. We have a very, very low diversity in autistic children. But more, we do not only have a low diversity, we have very many bugs there which are harmful, like Shutterella and Ruminococcus species, which are found in abundance in autistic children. As biologists, we have to look at their energy pathway. What are they doing? Shutterella does nitrate reductase for energy supply, which means it produces nitrite. Do you spell it nitrite? Is it okay? Nitrite? And this is a highly inflammatory agent. No wonder we have ileocolitis. No wonder we have colitis. Ruminococcus species degrade the protective mucosa, thus participating to a leaky gut. A leaky gut, we've heard it from the speaker before, a leaky gut leads to a leaky brain. This was revealed from the University of Karolinska, which injected a radioactive market substance, raclopride, and they found out that, or they demonstrated that the transport of molecules across the blood-brain barrier can be modulated by gut microbes. On the left side, you see the inflammatory process of a germ-free mouse. On the right side, you see a mouse with a functioning microbiome. And in the middle one was a restored former germ-free mouse. So, have this underlying knowledge, we should know what to do. Like Hippocrates said 500 years ago, treat the gut. Our nutritional approach has three major pillars in nutritional treatment, thus targeting the nutritional deficiencies, the gut, the inflammation, the macrophage activation, detox, and therefore it improves general health, behavior, and sleeping patterns. The first pillar is ketogenic diet with a special amino acid formula, myamino. It favors a switch towards TH1. It produces beta-hydroxybutyrate. Butyrate is a central food for the gut bacteria. It favors the so-called peacekeeper bacteria, Akkermansia multifila, and Fecalibacterium prausnitzii. And thus, it improves the immune system, only with a ketogenic diet alone. Then, of course, we add probiotics. Regulates the gut milieu, activates the macrophages, improves detox, improves immune competence, improves nutritional status. And third, for children up to 15, We use Rerum Blue, supports our immune system, activates macrophages, and much, much more. Let's look at the ketogenic diet first. It's known within forward-looking therapists that it works in diabetes, in cardiovascular risk parameters, in weight reduction, in epilepsy. Actually, it's used in epilepsy since 1911. Its emerging evidence shows that it works with acne, in cancer, in polycystic ovarian syndromes, and of course in neurological disease. But we use a special amino acid formula, and the benefits of the KD are widely recognized, but we have to challenge the ketogenic diet as a mere therapy, like Dr. Wilder in 1926, and his followers in the epileptic treatments still understand it. It is not a therapy. It has therapeutic effects, but it is our ancestors' original nutrition. Before the American Department of Agriculture started to tell us to eat 70% of carbs and sugars. A ketogenic diet is a low to very low carb nutrition with healthy fats and good proteins, and it's our normal diet leading to nutritional ketosis. It's not a therapy, although it has strong therapeutical effects. Let's look at the neuroprotective and other beneficial aspects of ketones, like, for example, beta-hydroxybutyrate. Okay? This is changing the laptop. Ketones are now considered as superfood. They have neuroprotective properties. They improve mitochondrial function and oxygen use. They increase antioxidative capacity. They reduce toxic reactive oxygen species. They increase glutathione peroxidase. It needs only 3 enzyme steps instead of 11 enzyme steps in glucose metabolism. Ketones reduce the rate of oxidation of glucose, and a ketogenic diet is shifting the immunological landscape from inflammatory, non-protective immune response to cytotoxic Th1 response. Here we see a paper from 2000. At the left upper side, A, this is the control group. B is the group exposed, neurons exposed to amyloid proteins, like they are in Alzheimer, accumulating in Alzheimer. On C, you see the same amount of amyloid proteins together with hydroxybutyrate. And you see an improvement. On the right side, D, you see the neurons growing only with ketones. Without ketones, the human brain couldn't be as large as it is. Let's look at another one. Leukodystrophy and ketone ester. This boy couldn't walk, had spastic cramps, had splenomegaly, had liver problems. They just gave him ketone ester to put him into ketosis. After 2 months and after 9 months, he could walk and talk. This is the power of the ketones. And now we have to switch to our special amino acid formula. One of the main problems in ketogenic diets is to balance the macronutrients. Why? because protein, which is crucial for growth and bone health, also produces sugar and toxic nitrogen waste. So if you have an epileptic child, for example, you have to outbalance this protein intake between problems with impaired bones and problems with delayed growth. And this is a problem epileptic treatment until today could not solve. With myamino, we can solve this problem because myamino does not produce glucose and does not produce or almost not produce toxic waste, like you can see on other protein sources. Normally, we think a protein has 4 calories, means the calorie output is constant, but that is not true. The calorie output of proteins depend on the source of the protein. It has the highest nutritional protein value. It has the lowest amount of metabolic toxin waste. It has the lowest amount on glucose via gluconeogenesis. It doesn't even need peptidize to be digested. It's pre-digested. And it spares bicarbonate as blood buffer. Normally, we give 2 days in seminars to explain the background of this protein and protein nutrition. So in order not to extend it too much here, I would like to give you an example what that means. In 2014, I was at the Congress in Liverpool, Cancer and Epilepsy, and I was fighting with the traditional epileptic doctors about the problem of delayed growth and impaired bone health in these kids. And I told them, it's the problem of the protein source. And of course, they were complaining and complaining and complaining. Only one therapist came to me and said, listen, I have a child. She's acidotic since 2 years on a ketogenic diet, on a traditional ketogenic diet. And she uses anti-epileptic drugs. Can you help me? I said, of course. And I sent her 10 bottles. And she wrote me back this email. Thank you. By the way, also the only thing we've changed is the patient's amino acid source. She had a seizure-free day yesterday. That hasn't happened in 2 years since she became acidotic. She generally has 6 to 12 generalized clonic-tonic seizures daily, many of them lasting 15 minutes. Can you imagine what that means for a therapist and a mother and the child? This is the power of nutrition, if you know how to do it. Of course, next pillar, orally and as enema. I prefer enema, actually, to avoid these casein problems. And, of course, it's closer to the gut, it's faster to the gut. But we do it orally and enema at the same time. I don't have to tell you very much about Bravo Probiotic Easy Kit. We've heard a lot of it from Professor Ruggiero and last year. But, again, it is balancing the immune system. For example, Bifidum lactis and other strains of bacteria like those in Bravo lead to an increase of diversity and thus to a modulation of the Th1, Th2 balance. So now finally, what is Rerum? I think everybody or most of you have heard the speech from Professor Ruggiero, though I can make it a little bit shorter. It's the most advanced evolution of the GC protein-derived macrophage activating factor in a new, nano-sized, supramolecular complex without blood-derived protein. This is very important because we had a lot of problems because of this issue. Already in 1990, Professor Ruggero and colleagues wrote about the macrophage colony stimulating factor, which induces the immune system. And this GcMAF went to become famous. What doctors don't tell you, the superhero for your health problem. And indeed, we had many, many successful treatments with the predecessor of Rerum. It's a novel role of major components in the vitamin D axis. Vitamin D binding protein-derived macrophage activating factor induces here in this sample human breast cancer cell apoptosis through stimulating the macrophages. But what have been the active sites of GcMAF? N-acetylgalactosamine, vitamin D, oleic acid, and chondroitin sulfide. And we just changed the backbone, the carrier, into chondroitin sulfide to solve our problem. Each one of these molecules has the biological effects previously attributed to GcMAF. You can see here chondroitin sulfide, glycosaminoglycans stimulate macrophages. This was already written in 1997. Another paper in 2010, modulation of inflammation by chondroitin sulfate. Chondroitin sulfate is known as a substance which is able to inhibit HIV. Chondroitin sulfate reduces viral load to non-detectable levels in 10 days, a result that cannot be even imagined with today's antiretroviral drugs. Chondroitin sulfate inhibits not only HIV, but also other viruses and pathogens. De Caro et al. Reported a series of sulfated galactosaminoglycans were tested in vitro against herpes simplex virus type 1 and human cytomegalovirus virus. And all this in absence of side effects. In 1999, it was shown that galactosaminoglycans like chondroitin sulfate inhibit 3 enveloped viruses: herpes simplex, human cytomegalovirus, and immunodeficiency virus type 1. So what else about Rerum? It's nano-sized. Rerum, vitamin D, and oleic acid are bound together as they are in nature without the presence of GcMAF protein, since the backbone is constituted by chondroitin sulfate now. Alpha-N-acetylgalactosamine is constituent part of chondroitin sulfate. Having all 3 components in a single supermolecule amplifies their biological effects, like we've been demonstrating this morning with Heidi. With Rerum, we have all the elements to build a non-protein, non-blood-derived macrophage activating factor that exerts all the effects attributed to former GcMAF, thus being able to force the switch from Th1 to from Th2 to Th1 and harmonize the immune system plus much, much more. But harmonizing the immune system means the modulation of its response. So macrophages don't only attack. Macrophages not only sound the cells of the immune system to attack via cytokine signaling. Macrophages also sound to retreat. And if macrophages don't succeed, they switch into another mode. They are intelligent and change their strategy to fibrinolyze pathogenic tissue, like we've seen many times before, encapsulating tumor tissue. So how do we build a supramolecular complex with all these molecules? We need to take into account their physical chemical properties. So rerum contains no substances which are derived from proteins. Rerum is not digested by stomach acid because it is not a protein. Rerum does not require any particular care for storage and shipping because there is no protein in it, which has to be frozen. Rerum does not induce allergic reactions since glycosaminoglycans are notoriously non-allergenic. And I have to remind you then that in autistic children, glycosaminoglycans in the gut are very, very low, and they're very important for a gut health. Rerum is a bona fide dietary supplement since it is composed of well-known dietary supplements that have been in use for decades. Rerum is inherently safe since it is composed as a nano-sized supramolecular complex of components that have been used for decades in human medicine. Chondroitin sulfate, vitamin D, and oleic acids are regulated substances in the US as dietary supplements approved by the Food and Drug Administration. In Europe, chondroitin sulfate formulations are approved as drugs. And rerum is extremely bioavailable at variance with long proteins such as the former GcMAF. This is due to the inherent flexibility of the chondroitin sulfide backbone and the presence of fatty acids and oleic acid. Thanks to this unique combination, we have to thank the designer of this combination, Professor Ruggiero. Rerum is rapidly absorbed via a variety of routes and is immediately bioavailable. And especially because of its nano-sized form, it can be uptaken immediately in the mouth. Rerum is nano-sized, I told that already. It means that its contact surface is about 1,000 times wider than that of a long protein. And rerum is therefore able to reach a much larger number of targets. With the invention of rerum, we finally imitate the optimum real safe macrophage activating factor. It's manufactured in a GMP certified facility in Germany, and all the ingredients of rerum have been known prior to 1994 in the US, so they are considered as a supplement and not as a novel food. Thank you very much for your attention. We use vitamin D2 and D3. We use vitamin D2 and D3. Oh, you have the Rerum Blue? We skipped the vitamin D3 because in young autistic children, it can be effective with exaltation. Excuse me? The adults, we use the Rerum Purple. The Rerum Purple with the purple color. Yes? Yes. Yes. Very little. Yes, of course. We started to produce it in January. So, but you've heard this testimonial this morning, Heidi? So, oh, the guidelines? Yes, dosage, guidelines. The biggest question, the most frequent question. Of course, it depends on the course. It depends on the age. It depends on a lot of things, but we recommend with children up to 10, 0.1 ml every 5th day. Children older than 10, you may try first 0.1, but increase it to 0.2 ml every 5 days. Best use a insulin syringe to get it out, to have the exact dosage. But please, please consider that best is, with synergistic effects, to use all 3 pillars. I've seen so many autistic children coming with cookies. I mean, if I see that, I get a really bit angry. No, no kidding. We now know what sugar does to the brain. Please read Dr. Lustig's work about sugar. A brilliant man here in the United States. He showed us a liver of a 14-year-old child. A fat liver I've never seen before in this age. So please, skip sugar. Yes. We cannot talk about injections other than to doctors. We have to talk about the oral use. And you have to do that according to the laws in your country. In Germany, a doctor has the right, with the affirmation of the patient, for the off-label use. I don't know how the rights in the United States. They differ between the different regions, as I've heard. Yes, there are little data already with Dr. Antonucci tomorrow and Dr. Siniscalco. Okay? We start a clinical trial with them, and they have the first. They do have first results. Okay, wait a minute. Yeah. Are there any? Louder. Are there any supplements that you get from it, or something like that? No. No. What about chelation? Chelation? Well, a 2-day seminar in September in Germany. I can't answer. I'm sorry. It's a very, very difficult problem. Yes? Oh, I'm sorry. The gut problem is not different. The speech problem is not different. The behavioral problem is not different. We should focus on the basics. Ketogenic diet, treat the gut, no matter of the different child's cause or problems. I mean, these are basics. It's food. It's a Th2 dominant problem, and it's a lack of diversity in the gut. And also, they found out that only 70% of the autistic children do have gut disorders. And 73% of these 70% do have ileocolitis. So I would say, if we would have different diagnostic approaches, I would say 100% have gut problems. Yes? Okay, that's a big question. That's not vodka. That's water. Okay, we had cases. One grandpa with his grandson coming from Israel. never spoke. One day, in the afternoon, he spoke to his grandfather. This was a special relationship between Israel and Germany. And he broke down, of course. But we have others, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Please, this is a question I can't answer. Enema, microcurrent. It was still with the Golake or the GcMAF. Yes. Okay, we have to stop. She told me to stop. Thank you very much. If you need more information, we can meet at the booth.